If you're thinking about buying or even renting a home in Spain, then don't even think about looking at listings until you've taken these 7 steps first. Now, I worked in the Spanish property market for a very long time, and I've put these steps together because, well, I've seen what can happen when people skip them, and well, trust me, you don't want to learn these lessons the hard way. These are the steps that you should be taking right at the beginning of your journey because, well, once you find a property, that's when you start to make decisions with your heart and not your head. And, well, that's when you can easily make mistakes. Step 7 is quite possibly the most important step of all, and probably the most important thing I can tell you about the Spanish property industry. It will help frame the entire process. So please do stick around and watch that. And don't worry about taking notes. There's an article on my website, the link's in the description below, but do make sure you watch the video first because it really won't make a whole lot of sense without it. Okay, so let's get on with step 1, which is to check your visa and residency options. If you're an EU citizen, well, this part is really straightforward. You have the right to live and to work in Spain. Although you will still need to register for residency if you're going to stay more than 6 months. That's a formality, but, well, it's an essential formality. For everybody else, be it from, say, the UK, the US, Canada, or Australia, it gets a bit more complicated. If you want to spend more than 90 days in any 180-day period in Spain, then you're going to need a visa. The 2 most common visas are the non-lucrative visa, which is ideal if you're going to be retiring and living off of passive income like pensions and investments. The alternative would be the digital nomad visa. This is designed for remote workers who are earning money from companies which are situated outside of Spain. Both these visas can include your family, but they have strict financial requirements, complex paperwork, and long processing times. I'm going to talk about them both in more detail in future videos, but for now, if you want to know if you're eligible for either of those visas, check out the website of one of my legal partners. There's a link in the description below, and on their site you can take a simple online test to see if you're eligible, and you can also book a free consultation with a lawyer to discuss it. There's a discount code in the description for you as well. Now, step 2 is to sort your budget out. This is where most people mess up. They know how much money they have and how much money they can spend, but they massively underestimate how much they're going to need to spend. In the UK, you've probably all watched TV shows showing bargain villas in the sun, but those shows never seem to mention that if you're buying a property, well, you need to add about 12 to 15% in extra costs on top of the purchase price. That's for the taxes, the notary fees, and land registry fees, legal fees, etc. It varies by region. Each of Spain's 17 autonomous communities sets its own rate, so it can get a bit confusing. Now, there is a property cost calculator on my website. Again, the link's in the description below. It's free and it will help you get a starting point of what the costs are in each area. Now, if you're renting or planning to rent while you get settled in, it's still really easy to underestimate the costs. Demand for rental properties in some of the cities like Valencia, Madrid, and Barcelona is massively outpacing supply. Some landlords are asking for outrageous deposits. I even heard someone the other day asking for a full year's rent up front. And well, before anyone jumps in the comments and says that that's not allowed, it doesn't really matter because people are doing it anyway. So make sure you have a really good look at rental prices in the area and make some calls before you make any plans. Find out what you're going to have to pay in order to secure one of those rentals. Step 3 is to calculate your ongoing budget. Now, meeting the visa's income requirements is a great start because it shows that you have enough money to live in Spain, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have enough money to live anywhere in Spain. The monthly costs can vary massively across the country. An apartment in central Valencia could cost you 2, 3, or 4 times what you would pay elsewhere, and you're not always going to get more for your money. On top of rent or mortgage, you're going to need to factor in health insurance, transport costs, utilities, community fees, and of course, visa renewal costs. Many of these costs aren't immediately obvious, and none of them are optional. And well, if you're coming from outside of the Eurozone, currency fluctuations can hit you hard too. A weak home currency could eat into your income overnight, so build a buffer into your monthly budget. Now, my guide to buying property and moving to Spain has chapters dedicated to this and much, much more. For more information about that, please check out the link in the description below or follow the QR code that's up on the screen now. Okay, so step 4 is picking the right location. Location, location, location is, of course, the mantra of the estate agent, and that is for very good reason. The right house in the wrong place is the wrong house. Just because you can get a bigger property for your budget in one location, you might find that you're far happier with a smaller property spending the same amount of money in a different location. After all, there's always a reason that one area has higher prices to another. Now, too many people fall in love with a property before they understand the area that it's in, but location affects everything. The climate, the cost of living, the access to services, and as a result of all of that, your happiness. My best advice here is to start with your non-negotiable. These are the things that you need from the area: airports, hospitals, English-speaking services, climate, transport, walkability. List all of those things and check any location against them. And if it doesn't meet any of those needs, then move on. Then think about the lifestyle you're aiming for and list everything that an area needs to provide you with in order to live that lifestyle. These are the things that you want. Now, I used to do this with clients back when I used to do property inspection trips many years ago, and it's a really great way of keeping focused on what's important to you. You can check back against those lists whenever you're considering a new location, and you can see whether it meets those needs. And don't forget, we're not just talking about locations as in huge areas of Spain, but even if you're settled on a town, the different parts of that town. Now, there are 2 more really important things to keep in mind when you're looking at a location. The most common reason, without doubt, that I've known people pack up and move back to their home countries is that they miss their family, especially when they're retired and their grandchildren are growing up really quickly. If family is important to you, then make sure you have easy access to an airport that serves your family's local airport back in your home country, and well, make sure you allow for regular trips to and fro in your budget. It's really easy to get to and fro from Northern Europe, but if you are from further afield and you've got to fly from Madrid, well, I suggest looking at living somewhere on the AVE high-speed train network. It's fast, it's cheap, it's comfortable, and all of its lines lead straight to the capital. Now, the second big mistake that I often see people make is not future-proofing their purchase. As I mentioned before, the purchase costs of property in Spain are high, and well, there are significant costs associated with selling a property too. So if you're looking for somewhere to spend the rest of your retirement, then you need to get it right. I've seen lots of people choose locations which are fine while they're fit and able to walk long distances, when they can drive and you need to see a doctor once in a blue moon, but the time will come when those things become more difficult. Even when the market is booming, in some areas of Spain, properties can take a long time to sell. So you need to consider whether or not you're going to be planning to move in the future and either budget for that, or whether you're going to look for a new location that will suit you permanently from the beginning. Now, the final thing I want to say about location is that at this point in time, you really need to read the room. There are major problems in the Spanish rental market, and in some areas, it's almost impossible for locals to find properties to rent or buy at anywhere near affordable prices. So not only are you going to find it difficult to find a place to rent in those areas, and you're going to pay way above the national average if you do, but you're also going to be helping to make that problem worse for the locals who already live there. On the flip side, there are some areas of Spain which are actively encouraging people to take up residency there, and well, they're even offering financial incentives to digital nomads to move there. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description below, and well, keep your eyes out on this channel, like and subscribe, because there's going to be videos about that in the future. Okay, so step 5 is to pick the right type of property. Properties in Spain are very different from those that you might be used to in cooler climates. They vary considerably just from the south of Spain up to the north. So it's very likely that the kind of property that would match your lifestyle perfectly in your home country will be, well, very different to the kind of property which will match the lifestyle that you want to live in Spain. My advice when helping buyers search for their perfect property is really very similar to the advice I just gave you about choosing a location. Let your desired lifestyle dictate the kind of property that you make home, rather than allowing the property to dictate your lifestyle to you. In other words, make sure the property enables that lifestyle and doesn't hinder it. Now, To do this, you need to stop thinking in terms of the parameters which are set for property searches on websites, by which I mean the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, whether it's attached or detached, these kind of things. Instead, you need to start thinking in terms of what that property will do for you. And well, it's really easy to work this out. Firstly, just as you did for the locations, make sure that you list your non-negotiable needs, and again, make sure you consider the future when you're setting out those needs. Take a sheet of paper, draw a line straight down the middle of it. In the left-hand column, write down all of the things which you would normally put in the search parameters of a property website. So for example, the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, whether it's attached, whether it's an apartment, etc. Then in the right-hand column, write down why you want each of the things that you put in that left-hand column. So for example, you might say that you want 3 bedrooms in the left-hand column, and then in the right-hand column, you would write down that you want somewhere to sleep, somewhere for family to sleep when they visit, and somewhere for a home office. When you finish writing all of this down, tear that sheet of paper straight down the middle and throw away everything in the left-hand column, because, well, it's what's in the right-hand column that counts. That's all that matters. And when you start looking at properties, all you need to do is make sure that it fulfills the criteria that you put in that right-hand column. If you do that, when you come to look at properties, you're likely going to find that the properties that meet everything in that right-hand column are not necessarily anything like those that would have matched with the left-hand column. Okay, so step 6, and this is really important: plan your exit strategy. I know we're talking about moving to Spain, but in my experience, so many people are so excited at this point and so convinced that they're never going to look back that they don't consider what will happen in the future if something happens and they have to change their mind. Now, I know it sounds odd, but if you're looking for a property to buy, you need to start thinking about selling the property before you've even bought it. Even if you're planning on spending the rest of your life living in that perfect property that you found following the steps that you took up to this point, circumstances can change unexpectedly. And if you do, you don't want to find yourself stuck. As I said earlier, properties in Spain sometimes take months and even years to sell, even when the market's strong. And so keep your exit strategy in mind when you're looking at properties. Will you be able to sell that property relatively easy if for some reason you needed to in the future? Always ask how long the property has been on the market for, and if you can, research that yourself. You see, if that property's been for sale for a very long time and there's no obvious reason why that you can put right and take control of yourself, well, then you might find that it takes an awful long time to sell that property if and when you need to. Or if you're in a hurry, you might find you need to take a big hit on the price. Okay, so step 7 is putting your team together. I promised you at the beginning that this was going to be the most important step and possibly the most important piece of advice that I can give anyone who is thinking of moving to Spain. And it's especially true if you're planning to purchase a property. It all hinges around this particular saying, which is getting very popular amongst internet marketeers. If something is free, you're not the customer, you're the product. So just like right now, unless you're a YouTube Premium subscriber, you're watching this video for free, but you're having to watch adverts. You are the product that YouTube is selling to those advertisers, and they are YouTube's customers. The same thing happens when you go to look at properties. Generally speaking, the estate agent is being paid by the owner of the property that's selling or renting it, be it a builder or a private individual. So it's that seller or landlord who is the agent's customer. You are the product that the agent is giving them in exchange for their commission. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not a hack job on estate agents. Most of them are really decent people, and well, the good agents will know that if they do their job well and provide a good service to buyers, that they will in turn get that sale and serve their sellers well. But the fact is that their objectives are not entirely aligned with yours, even if they call you and even if they consider you to be their client. Now, in my experience, the problem here comes at the point when you find a property. Most people are completely unprepared for this moment, and so they turn to the agent to tell them exactly what they have to do next. And they're therefore turning to somebody who has, at best, objectives which are misaligned with their own, or at worst, objectives which are contrary to their own. They therefore lose complete control of the situation. The good news is that this situation can be easily avoided if the buyer or the tenant is already prepared for this moment. And well, to be prepared, you need to get your own team of professionals and advisors together in advance. I mean, your lawyer, your financial advisor, mortgage broker, currency exchange broker, whoever it is that you need in order to help you safely proceed. And then when you find the property that you want, you know exactly who to call and exactly what to do in order to progress while maintaining complete control of the situation for yourself. And really, well, that's the philosophy behind this channel and my book about purchasing property and moving to Spain. It's all about helping you make informed decisions so you can safely find property and move to Spain in a way that suits your interests and nobody else's. I'm going to be making more videos on this subject, so please do like and subscribe to this new channel. And if you're planning to move, please do check out my book. The link's in the description below. And now finally, on the subject of maintaining control, I've got one last bonus tip. Learn Spanish. It's true to say that in a lot of areas that are popular with expats, you can get through day-to-day life without needing to speak the language. But I honestly believe that learning Spanish not only makes you less reliant on other people, but also opens up doors and allows you to make the most of your life in Spain. And now I know as we get older, it gets more difficult. Our brains are not the sponges that they used to be when we were young. But a few weeks ago, I sat down with a Spanish teacher who, after 20 odd years of teaching expats to speak the language, has developed a course that is perfect for those of us that are in that situation. We had a great discussion about the top tips on my main channel, and you can watch it if you click on the link popping up now. And finally, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, please do consider liking and subscribing. I really need to make it to 1,000 subscribers on this new channel quite quickly, because that opens up different features in the background of YouTube, which means that I can manage the channel even better. Thank you again for watching, and well, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.